Hello, everyone. How are you doing? So excited to be here with my friend Katie. We're sorry we're a couple minutes late. I was having some technical issues with my internet. So we're going to say a little prayer, set a little intention, and it's all going to be fine. And if not, Katie will take up the the baton and run with the conversation because she knows what we're here to, here to talk about. But no, I think it's going to be fine and amazing. And I'm so glad that you were able to be here with me today, Katie. Katie and I go back a few years now. We met inside a group coaching program together. So we've really had the opportunity to watch each other grow and thrive as we create our businesses. And she's been a great support for me. And when I thought about talking to someone about growing through adversity, Katie's the first person that came to mind because she has been through a lot. This girl is a powerhouse. She is amazing. She has such strength and such perseverance. And she is a post-divorce coach. So she works with women post-divorce. So she's going to talk all about that today and what it really means to thrive in the face of adversity. Because I do think that there's this piece of us where we're going along and things are going really, really well, and you feel really, really good. And then all of a sudden, a challenge will come along and throw you off track. And then it really affects you in your day to day and how you show up. And there are things that you can do to really avoid it from completely throwing you off track. It's okay to get thrown off the course a little, but it doesn't need to be this big, painful, crazy thing. You can come back to yourself a lot faster than you may think. So we're really excited to talk about all of that today. So Katie, I'm gonna hand it over to you and just talk to us a little bit about your journey and how is it that you were able to really come back from such a challenging time as going through a divorce. Because I know I'm a child of divorce. I've never been divorced. I'm a child of divorce. So I know it from a child's perspective. And it is a really tough thing to overcome and go through.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I'm actually going to rewind further back than the divorce as I take you on kind of the journey that led me to where I am today and helping moms post divorce, because there is a time where you go through the fear that
I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. I can't hear you. You can't hear me? Okay, I got my phone on. No, I don't know what's happening. There was like a little delay. And then bear with us as we go through the technical, whatever this technical craziness is here. Bear with us a second. I'm gone in on my phone to see if I can hear you there, but I can't hear you there either, I don't think. Okay, bear with us a second. Phone to see if I can hear you there, but I can't hear you there either. No. Okay, well, we're gonna riff on for a minute and see. Hello. Okay, we're gonna see if we can add her back in.
That one was me. That one was me. I was telling this great story. Somebody called, I ignored the phone call, and for some reason it mutes me after that.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I don't know why it does that. So anyway, well, let's start where I think we were. So in May of 2017, I lose my grandmother. And in July of 2017, our daughter is born. In October of 2017, we lose my husband at the time, his grandmother as well. And fast forward to April of 2018, the grief keeps coming. It doesn't stop there. I lose my dad. And then in 2020, I lost my sister to brain cancer. I was thinking of someone else. So there has been a whole lot of grief in that time frame. Then you fast forward to 2021, we're all trying to figure out kind of what life looks in mid pandemic, whatever that is, and I get this, hey, let's sell the house and move into separate places. What? I mean, I knew things weren't great, but I wasn't quite ready for that. I don't know that you're ever really ready for that. But at that time, my daughter was turning 4. We had to get the house ready to sell. We had to pack all these things, do all these things. So I threw myself into that. I didn't really allow myself to kind of think what this could mean. So that all happens, and I don't think anything really prepares you for, like in my case, that first night when my daughter went to stay with her dad and I was alone. I've never spent more than a couple of days away from her at that point, so that was devastating. I had a pit in my stomach. I cried till my eyes hurt, I'm sure. It was crazy. So at that point, I literally have all of this grief. And then you fast forward from July of 2021 to October of 2021 when I was actually served with the divorce papers. And, it'd been a few months. You kind of wouldn't think things would be as crazy as they were when you get handed that paperwork. And it's like the flood of emotions is insane. And then you still have to hold it all together because you still got to work. You still got to be mom. You still got to keep things together. So you don't really have a choice at that point. And at that point, I was also, this is kind of my journey and what I'm calling my path to peace, because at that point, I was doing anything, even if it meant sacrificing some of the things that I wanted just to create peace. So it was kind of a false sense of peace. So I am starting, at this point, I had been into a morning routine, and that was starting to help. With meditation, gratitude journaling, I am statements, those type of things, because it's not really talked about that you have to be, it is talked about, but it feels like society puts more on you than allowing you to be okay and to do healing with yourself. So you know, I'm dealing with all these griefs of losing people physically, to grief of a divorce, to grief of not seeing my child all the time, to, okay, what do we do now? And at that point, I knew that I wanted to help other women in the same situation. But I was, and now I know this is what it was. I didn't know this at the time. I was in such great denial about what was actually going on. Didn't even like to use the word divorce. My family didn't even know for months what was even going on. Wildest story. I was in my first apartment. See, it's giving me fireworks too. It's that wild.
That's amazing.
I gotta watch my hand gestures because I am very like, I talk with my hands all the time. So, you know, if
Me
it get
too.
more, if it catches those, then we're fireworks.
I wanted to do mine.
One day I was actually driving home from work to my first apartment. And I kid you not, my family lives 3 hours away from here. So what are the chances? What are the chances that I look over when I'm driving and I'm like, that's my brother? And he's probably like, why are you driving right here? This is not where you live, you know? He was coming up for a conference, but still at that time, I was like, oh, I got to go run an errand after work. I couldn't even admit what was going on. I was so scared of the fear and the judgment of what was going on. And
that's tough. Like, that's really tough. Like, to not be leaning on someone for support, right? Like, that's tough.
Yeah. But I had a good therapist. I had a good group of women outside of my family that were super supportive. And Pam, you know this for sure. You saw me, you met me like in the beginning of all of that stuff. So you can definitely attest to the growth and things like that. You guys, if there is one thing, and this sounds super selfish and I'm okay with that, but fast forward.
You've lost your sound again. Did someone try to call you? Did someone try to call you? You went black and then the sound went away. We're going to figure it out. You can't hear me? I can't hear you. This is hilarious. I mean, it's really funny that this is the Growing Through Adversity live and we're having these kinds of technical difficulties. But here's the thing, we're going to roll with it. And we're going to get back to Katie in a minute when she comes back on. But I think it's really important to note, and to, like, what I'm taking from Kate so far and what I know from my own experiences with trauma and overcoming hard things. She's back now. Hold on. Bring her back in. See what happens. What I find interesting is that you really had to find ways to support yourself and recognize that your journey doesn't have to look like anybody else's, and that you get to decide how you show up with each challenge you go through, which you get to decide who's going to support you. You get to decide who you're going to tell, what you're going to say, how you're going to get through it. It's entirely up to you. We're waiting for Katie to connect here. Hi.
Why is it nobody wants to call you? This is a perfect example of that adversity. Nobody will call you for hours and hours. And, you know, we've been doing this 20 minutes and everybody wants to call then. So,
well, I ripped on a little bit while you were gone and said that what I'm like learning from what you're saying already is that everyone's journey with adversity is really different, and how you show up in your challenges really is up to you. And you get to decide how you support yourself and who you lean on and the tools that you use. And there is no one way. There's no one way through challenges and adversities. It's about what feels good to you, what feels good in your body, what it is that you need, and understanding that from a soul deep level. So like, you had to go through what you went through in order to support people in what they're going through. And you can now speak to that beautiful, and when you're going through it, it doesn't feel like that. When you're in the middle of that pain and that anxiety and stress, like it's not like, oh, this is going to be such a great lesson. It's pain and anxiety and overwhelm. And so, but I think allowing yourself to really feel the depth of that emotion. And because I know for me, when I'm going through things, my old default really used to be escape. Like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be in this frame of mind. So, what can I do to escape it? And I think it's really important to not do that. Like, you have to feel the depth and the breadth of your emotion. Because here's the thing, even if you try to bypass it, even if you try to gloss over it, it's catching up with you eventually. So the sooner that you can accept what is, and it sounds like you had a little bit of trouble accepting what is, and I've been in that place where I've had trouble accepting what is, because you don't want it to be true, and you don't want it to be real, and you don't want it to be your reality. But the sooner that you can accept what is and start feeling the depth of your emotion, the sooner you can really start working through it and feeling much better, much faster.
Well, a prime example of working through those emotions and those feelings is try to be figuring that out yourself when you're trying to teach this to a small child.
Yes.
Ooh,
I mean, that's a challenge I don't know.
You talk about like, and to let her, because through a lot of this, I didn't want to see her or let her see me hurting. Now, it's okay if you cry and things hurt, because that's going to happen. That's part of life. And we sit with it and we move through it. Now, I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of like some of this, and this is more recent, that has what has went on and where I can see the growth, but it is making those daily choices of how you are going to respond to things. And a huge part of it is awareness. So I used to, in the beginning of this whole process, when I was talking about, keeping the peace, I would just say, okay, whatever you want, what? Now that looks a whole lot different, because there are things that would be said to me and I would just melt. And it's that same thing. Whatever you want, I'll do whatever. Now I have the strength, courage, and energy to say, look, this conversation isn't going anywhere. Let's come back to it later. This is not what I want. Let's try something different. Where before I never would have done that. So it's very interesting, I think, to come from that. And one of the big things is, so there was a point in time where different things, would just melt me. Like, hey, we're going on this trip, or not knowing what Amelia, who's my daughter, what her day-to-day life was all the time. Those type of things would just melt me. Now I know that, hey, she's with her dad, she's safe, she'll share with me what was important to her.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, or going from that, has been a challenge, because you're such in the throes of things, and then your life is like way different. But I have always been someone who wants to help other people. And I knew, and I still at this point in my life work a corporate job as well. And a lot of that is helping other people in their time of need. And going through what I've gone through allows me to be a little bit more empathetic and compassionate, because I mean, I could give you examples of this happening 2 times this week of somebody that lost a parent, lost a sibling, all within a short amount of time. And I was like, no, I get it, but you have to take care of yourself first. And that's really hard post a divorce to know, what does that care look like? I didn't even know, because I never was taking care of myself before, because I was super insecure in myself. So that made me want to hold everything right here. And in my opinion at that time, that meant, I can't have any time without my child. If I'm off work, I need to be with her, or, things like that, where now the way I show up as a mother to her and our connection is so much deeper. Yeah, she's older, but at the same time, I'm giving her very intentional time. And I think we have to do that with ourselves, to give ourselves very intentional time. Whether it is, you guys, this sounds so simple, but people don't do it, right? So whether it's reading 2 pages in a book, whether it's being mindful of the time, if you say, I don't have time to, well, that's a whole nother conversation we need to have, right? Because your time goes where your priorities are. And some people don't like to look at that, because that means your priorities are not what you're saying they are.
Well, no one likes to be called out like that, right? Like, no one wants to be called out like that. I never wanted to be called out like that.
Right.
But here's the thing. Yeah.
But that's real.
No, it doesn't feel good.
I have so many people in my life going, how in the world? Because most of the people at my corporate job, so I work 4 10-hour time.
Oh no.
By the time
no, you're back. You're back. It's okay.
Go to work in the morning to the time I get home, they're 13-hour days. And I'm usually up before that working within my business or my own morning routine. And people are like, how? So then on my days off, I have Amelia, I'm working on my business. I'm actually very excited to say I'm working on being a part of my 2nd book. So, and this one really leans more into the divorce process and what that, like, going through that steps to peace. And I'm super excited about that, because this is a whole different, the other one I felt like was, it was pretty and it was nice and easy, but this one is like, you're gonna, if you've been through a divorce or you're going through a divorce, you'll be like, oh, I'm right here in this. Or that actually even applies to different things in our life as well. So I'm very excited about that.
That's amazing. I'm super excited for you. I remember I got a signed copy of your first book, and I was just so delighted, because of course, I'm still writing my book. I've put that on pause. I'm doing other things right now, but someday I will be an author, and I'm so excited about that day to come. But it's just, I love that you really touched on the taking care of yourself piece, because women really struggle with this, right? And they struggle with making it a priority, because it feels like a luxury. It feels like, self-care is a luxury. It feels like moving your body is a luxury, that you have kids to support and you have jobs and you have a house to take care of. And it's like, but what is the point of all of that if you're unhappy? If the time that you're spending with your child isn't quality time, and you aren't engaged and you aren't happy, that child knows that. Like, they feel that energy. They know your energy. And what a beautiful gift to be able to give to your daughter, to show her how to take care of herself, like, and to break this generational trauma that we have created, where it's selfish to look after yourself. We are not meant to live this life of hustle and grind and complete and utter exhaustion and burnout. Like, it's supposed to be fun and joyous and experiencing life and all it has to offer. So I'm really, really glad that you touched on the taking care of yourself piece, because I think it's a part that's missed so much. And it is one of those things where it's like, well, I just don't have the time. I just don't have the energy. But the thing of it is when you make the time and the energy, you get more time and energy. That's the paradox, right? That's the beautiful paradox of it, is you create more of it when you make time for it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So I have to tell you what just happened. Amelia came in here and she goes, I need a snack. And I said, well, you can have some of the smile nuts in the cupboard. That's what she calls cashews, because they look like smiles.
Oh,
and she ran out with, she went back to her desk to do her work, but with the whole bag of cashews.
I love.
Oh my gosh. All right.
So sweet.
It's so
amazing. I think it's important to say that, like, you had to go easy with yourself to realize that it's a process, right? Like, it's a process. You don't just wake up and feel better. Like, especially if you're going through a challenge, which is what we're talking about today. Like, when you're going through something challenging, you don't just magically wake up better than you were yesterday. It's a process, and you need to go easy and allow yourself to feel, and allow yourself to be angry, and allow yourself to be sad, and, work through those emotions and find the supports that work for you. Find people who get it. Like, you and I have both been part of a support system that was invaluable at a time when we were really going through it. Like, we were going through it differently, but we were still going through it. And to have that support system, to be part of a group of women who got it, who supported you, who wanted you to win, and who were there for the tough moments. I mean, you know how many times I cried on a call? Like, how many times I sat there and ugly cried because I was like, when is it going to get easier? Because I talk about it being fun and easy and exciting all the time, but it's not. But I also make sure to say it's not that there aren't challenges, because there are challenges.
Yeah.
But the hard stuff didn't need to be so hard if I didn't resist it so much. I was in this place of, I don't want to feel this way, so I'm going to try to override it, when really you just need to allow yourself to process through it and to go through it. And it makes it so much easier and so much more graceful.
Yes, for sure. Because I just know now, if I let myself in something and sit there for a minute, I can come out of that a whole lot easier than being in denial for almost years. And then it's like, well, the same outcome's still there. It didn't change that.
Exactly. It just changes your experience of it. And we want the experience of it to be better and easier. And it can be. And I think that's the important message, is that it can be easier. It doesn't need to be this struggle. You get to decide how you show up in it, and you get to find what works for you and the supports that work for you. But I think it's really important to give yourself ease, grace, to feel, to find support that works for you.
So the other thing I wanted to tack onto that, which I think is super amazing, and things that we don't do and that we should be doing more of, and this really lies into that adversity piece, but we also need to forgive ourselves. Show yourself grace and forgive yourself, because it allows you to move forward. I had to go back, and this is stuff that's happened recently. In therapy, my I almost called her my coach. It feels like that. My therapist, my coach, all of the above. She said, have you really forgiven yourself? Because I was starting to see patterns of, I'm still trying to compensate that happened years ago, for something that happened years ago in my marriage today, even though I'm no longer married. How healthy is that? It's not.
Well, you're aware of it. Well, that's good.
Yeah. But let me tell you, I wrote a letter to myself I don't think I've burned it yet, but I like to burn things after I write them because it feels like a real cleansing um, portion of that. Plus, I have little eyes that can read everything now. So, but that is just the forgiveness piece of it, because we carry a lot more from our past than sometimes we ever even acknowledge. And the way we
Yes.
react to things sometimes is because of those past things that have happened to us.
Yes, it's a wound, right? It's a wound that hasn't been healed, and it's something that needs time and attention. And you don't have to go looking for those things; they're going to come up when they're naturally ready to go. But being aware of it and being tuned into it, and that forgiveness piece is so important as letting go, right? Like this letting go of what no longer serves you and being willing to let it go, because it is hard, like especially when you're talking about things like a marriage, and when you're talking about things that you were defined by for so long. Like I remember when I was doing this work through this program that we were in together, I got to this point where I had peeled back so much stuff that I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like,
Yep.
who am I without all of this? Like, I don't want any of this. But I was afraid to let it go because I'm like, well, who am I now without it? Like, if I decide to let it go, where does that leave
Now,
me? Like, I don't, at least I know what this is. Like, at least I know what this feels like. At least I know what to expect here,
but isn't it
right?
crazy now how that felt so hard at the time, but now it's like, man, I'm such a different person. And um, this, all of you who have been through adversity, which we all have at some point in our life, but my theme song right now, and I really, if you haven't listened to this, you need to listen to it because it's the Alicia Keys Brand New Me. And I mean, this song is like, I don't know, at least 14 years old, but it literally is me to a T. And everybody can get to that point where you are a brand new me. And sometimes, you guys, that means some of your friendships go, some of your family members go as well, because they don't get it and they can't support you in the way that you need. Um, Another thing that is so amazing that we keep talking about, the support doesn't have to be people that you've even never physically met. The group that Pam and I met through, I have physically met, and this just happened in the last month, one person that was in that
Me
group.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. We're still working on changing some of that. Now it's a little easier to do, um, but and sometimes that's just it. Finding the support. The support can come in total strangers.
Yeah, it can. It And it helps, actually. It helps when it's not someone who's really close to you, because you can really let loose and let go and allow yourself to feel like because you don't feel, especially when you're in a group of people who are also working on themselves. Like it's different when like just getting together with your friends to have like a bitch session or something. Like that's not really the same as when you are physically, like when you're actually trying to work through something to get to the other side, a happier, healthier, more fulfilled version of yourself. Like it's a completely different experience, and I want everyone to have that, which is of course why we do what we do, is because
Right.
we want to help people get to those places, right, where they really are lit up and excited, and where you no longer fear adversity. Like I'm no longer afraid of the challenges. I'm no longer worried. Like they still come up, things still happen. I still have emotions. I'm still human. Like I have emotions. But the thing of it is that because I've gone through all of this and done all this work, I now have built this emotional resilience within myself where I'm able to feel the emotion, let the emotion move through me, and move on.
Yes.
And that's it. And I mean, like, and that's it. Like, that's as simple as it gets to be when you really allow yourself to go through this life-changing transformation where you really tap into what it is that you want, focus on where you're strong, and get the support that you need from wherever you need it. Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So,
Yeah.
it's so good.
So I saw this post the other day from one of my friends who is a real estate agent, and it had the word female, and I think you've seen it now too, because I used it in a post too. But if you guys think about, the first two letters of female are F and E, and in the periodic table, that is the symbol for iron. So if you take those two things apart, that literally says female is Iron Man. And the original Iron Man is actually a woman. So
I love this so much. So
we get to be our own superhero. And I think a lot of times when we allow ourselves to be that, for ourselves, first of all, we become that for so many other people. Whether you have children looking up to you, there is always somebody Facebook stalking you, not like in a bad way either, but because, hey, I love what you're posting. You may not know what you helped somebody else through until years down the road. We were at my daughter's little concert the other day, and we used to have these neighbors that lived a couple doors down, mom, dad, and two little girls. Well, they since moved into a house down the street. And there had been one day where she just came out, and I was just like, you'd listen to yourself, and it was like, what is going on? And I ended up giving her a hug that day, which, if you guys know me, I am a huggy person, so that's not like that far-fetched for me. It might be for the person receiving it, but it's not for me. And I had given her a hug and just went on about, like, I never really thought about that. And the other night, which has probably been like 2 or 3 months later, she goes, you don't know how much that meant to me. And I think we all have that in life, where we do little things for other people or for ourselves that you don't know how much that means until later on.
Yeah, the impact that you get to make when you're at your best is even bigger, right? So like that's what I hope to do with the kind of work that I do, and I know this is what you want to, is really to let that ripple out into the world. Like the work that we do with the people that we work with ripples out to everyone we know, and then they take that work that ripples out to all they know, and it gets to be this beautiful movement of women who are happy and at peace and joyful and enjoying their lives and taking good care of themselves and living their bliss and doing things that make them happy. And like, I just have this vision of women taking over the world. And I love that you said, like, your own superhero. That's so amazing. Like, I'm so going to use that. Like, so going to use it, because that strength is in you. Like, that strength is in you. It is in you already. You don't have to get it from anywhere else. It's inside you.
Well, I wish I knew who said this, but last week I had the privilege of going to the Denver International Women's Day celebration. And somebody during that day, and I know it's been said many times, that when you educate and you support a woman, you are changing the nation. And it's so true, because, and it goes back to that, when we take care of ourselves, we're showing our children, the people around us, whether it's family members, coworkers, anything like that, that it is possible.
Yes. And like, so good. It feels so good, like, to get to this side of it, to know that you are strong and resilient and confident, and to just be able to walk into any situation and know that you're not only okay, but you can thrive in this place. It's not to say that there's still not discomfort. There's still discomfort and there's still fear and there's all of that, but it's practice. Like it comes with practice, right? Like the more that you practice and and don't be afraid to start with a really small step. Like allow it to be. My whole wellness journey started with gratitude. It started with 3 things a day that I was grateful for.
Yep.
That's it. Like, that's where it began. I mean, that's where it began. And that small thing changes so much. Like it changes so much. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I know
Thank
that
you so
I
much.
challenge. You're welcome. I challenge the women in my group to start with that as well. Because sometimes when you're in the midst of adverse things, especially a divorce too, you don't even know which way is up, which way is down. How am I gonna? You have to do something that's going to start allowing you to see that there's still good in the world. And that starts with the gratitude.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think every successful person in the world practices gratitude. I don't think there's a single person who's successful in this world who doesn't practice. Like, I think you have to have an attitude of gratitude to have what you want. And it's a beautiful practice. That's something I never skip. I do it every day. It feels so good. Like, it's amazing. This has been so amazing. Look at us talking for like 40 something minutes. Thanks. So good. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your program or your group or whatever it is you want to talk about, because I want women to know your work and to know how to contact you in order to work with you further.
My business is called Butterfly Tribe Blueprint. And it's going to be the beginning of April, I'm going to be having a masterclass on Path to Peace, which is then going to run into a 90-day program that we're going to dive deeper into that path to peace and how you get the genuine peace, not that faux peace, like, on the outside it appears all fine, when the inside you're still feeling the turmoil of what just happened, that kind of stuff. I believe, and I'll put the link below to join my group, because that's where the masterclass will take place. And then I think the second book will be out and it's another collaboration, and it's going to be out, I think, more towards the fall. I think that's what our goal kind of is right now. After writing things once, but writing things again with someone who is a very strong writer, it excites me and it challenges me to work on my writing more as well. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, those are the things that are going on in my world, plus every other thing that's still going on too. So yeah, this has been an amazing time, and I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Like Katie and I have been cheering each other on for years now, and I just think she's an amazing human, and I'm so glad that you were able to come and have this chat with me today. And I know that there are some amazing nuggets for those ladies who are catching on the replay. Do a #replay. Katie and I would love to hear what you think. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And so this is being streamed into my group, and it's also on my YouTube page. Katie can repurpose it for whatever she wants it for. If she wants to send it out to her people, she's more than welcome. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind you all about the Feel Incredible Now Masterclass. It's happening inside my group, Mind, Body, Soul Connection, which really is all about feeling amazing here and now, not just pushing your happiness down the road and working towards that goal of being happy, but being happy right where you are. Being excited about what you've already created, being pumped up about where you're going and the dreams and goals that you have, but also allowing yourself to feel amazing right here and now. So I'm super excited for that. It's happening on the 28th of March, and I cannot wait for that day. It's going to be amazing. I'll be unveiling something new at the end of that masterclass. And I invite any of you who are going through any challenges post-divorce to really connect with Katie, because she is amazing, and I know she has some amazing resources in her group, and she is a lovely human being. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody, and we will be chatting again soon. Take care of you.